Hi hippies, welcome and welcome back. It's Courtney Shavante here. I'm back with another banging tutorial for you guys. So today I'm going to be doing a tutorial for this little silicone mold right here. It says fuck around and find out, because fuck around and find out. We're going to be turning this into a magnet today, and I'm going to be using these little adhesive magnetic strips in order to do that. So I'm going to be showing you the step-by-step from start all the way down to the finish. Now, if this is something that you're interested in, make sure you do also hit that subscribe button for me and hit the notification bell so that we don't miss anything that I do put out for you hippies moving forward. And let's go ahead and get started. Getting started, you're just going to go ahead and prep a little bit of resin here. In the first layer of this, I used maybe about 4 to 5 milliliters of resin, and I just filled that about halfway, so that way I could have a nice little starting layer. And I'm using my mixing stick to make sure that I get into those creases and crevices, and also just kind of drag it over the etchings as well to release any bubbles that may get trapped in there or anything like that. Next, I'm going to, just go ahead and add in a couple drops of this black opaque alcohol ink. And after I add a couple drops, I'm going to swirl this using just use a little nail tool, or you can use a toothpick. Whichever one you do have on hand will work just fine. And you don't want to over mix it, but you just want to kind of create some interesting lines and some negative space in between those dots and stuff. Make sure you get around the edges as well, and then you're just going to allow this some time to cure. So the next step we have here is we're going to go ahead and add another probably about 5 milliliters or so, and we're going to add some glitter and a little bit of alcohol ink into this one. So I'm going to use a red alcohol ink, and I'm also going to use this glitter mix that I have here. I'm actually going to mix 2 of them. This is Heat, and I believe it's Eve Jean as well. I just mix those together with like a drop or 2 of the alcohol ink just to give it a little bit more color, and then I'm going to mix it up really well. Make sure that you do mix it well, because the alcohol ink can sit at the top. Once you do have it mixed, you're just going to go ahead and pour this to fill your mold. Make sure you do, again, get it inside those little cracks and everything, the little edges, and anywhere where bubbles can, sit. That's where you want to really make sure you aim for. So go ahead and scrape all your resin out, because no resin left behind. And then you're going to spray with a little bit of alcohol to release any bubbles, and then let this cure. Alright, everything is nice and cured now. We're just going to bend our silicone mold here and allow our little resin piece to pop on out. Pull off any of those little excess pieces that may be on the edges and everything. Sometimes it's not a completely clean pull, but most of the time it is coming off pretty easily. And this is how it looks fresh out of the mold. Now next we are going to be painting those etchings using some white acrylic paint here. I just put the paint directly onto the resin piece, and then I brush in using just a regular paintbrush. And I just really make sure I push the paint into the etchings, making sure that it's actually grabbing it, and it's a nice little thick coat of paint attached to those etchings, so that way when we are cleaning it later, it's really thick and it's really showing all the details how we really want it. But don't worry about any of the smooth pieces or anything like that, because the paint does come off super easily off of those parts. So you don't have to worry about making sure that it's super clean when you are painting the paint on here. But yeah, you just want to go ahead and continue on with a nice even layer like I am doing so. If you are interested in this mold, you can find it on my Etsy shop along with these glitter mixes as well. Once I make a glitter mix and it sells out, that's completely it. So if you do see one you like, make sure you do, hop on that and everything. Alright, but I'll have that linked below for you so that way it's clickable, but you're just going to allow this to completely dry once you get that layer on. Alright, so now that the acrylic is dry, you're going to take a damp rag and spray some alcohol directly onto your piece and just wipe away the excess. Just like I told you guys previously, those smooth parts are very, very easy to get the paint off of, so you don't have to worry about making sure that you're painting in the lines when you're painting these etchings. It's very, very, very forgiving, and I'm pretty sure any beginner resin artist would be able to, do these etchings and not have any problem. So just make sure that you fill back in any spaces as necessary, and then allow that to dry too, like I'm doing here with this heart. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and prep it. So to prep, we are going to be adding on a layer of this liquid latex here. The liquid latex is basically going to act as a protective layer. What you do is you just add on a nice thick layer to the back of your piece, and then we're going to allow it to completely dry. Once it dries, you're able to flip it over and dome your piece, which I'm going to be showing you in the very next step. But the great thing about the liquid latex is that it's going to completely protect the back of your piece from any drippings that may happen when you're doing that doming layer. And we'll get to that in just a second. Alright, so as promised, we're going to go ahead and do our doming layer, and that's basically where we just seal in these etchings here with a nice clear layer of resin. I'm just taking my mixing stick and I'm just dragging the resin all the way around from starting in the middle. I like to try to pull it in the middle first and then drag it out towards the edges, so that way I can make sure I'm not adding too much. And if I do have any drippings, I just try to keep it to a minimum, of course. But you do want to try to make sure that you get into these etchings really well. Make sure there aren't any bubbles forming. Sometimes bubbles do form and you can't, control it completely, but you do want to kind of do your best. So just try to be mindful of those etched areas and everything. Make sure your piece is propped up as you're applying your resin on here, just to make sure there's no spills either and that it's even. Then you're just going to allow this to completely cure. Once it's cured, we're going to peel that liquid latex off, and as you can see, it's pulling up all the drippings as promised. There's like hardly anything left behind on here, and if there is, it's coming off super smooth because the liquid latex is right behind it. Alright, so after that, we're just going to go ahead and be applying our adhesive magnet onto the back. First, I'm starting by wiping it clean and then allowing this to dry a bit as well, just so that way, I don't have any issues with any oils or anything with the adhesive sticking. Peel that protective layer off and then just place your magnet, and then you're done. Ta-da! This right here is our finished project, hippies. So as you can see, it's super shiny with that doming layer, so that's why I love making sure that I never skip that step. But I really love how the alcohol ink looks behind the lettering and how the glitter is still behind that and still very visible. This is the back where the magnet is, so that way you guys can see it up close and everything and just kind of have an idea of what it looks like up close. If you guys have absolutely any questions for me or anything like that, make sure you leave them below. I love hearing from you all and everything. If you're interested in any of these products that I use, make sure that you do check out my Etsy shop as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another tutorial, and thank you so much for your support so far, hippies. I appreciate you all so much. So until next time, mwah. Catch you later.